Again, Anandagiri continues, Astu Shastram Ajnatartha Jnapakam Tathavi Parasyanasi Savayatvam Idyatra Kimayadam. Astu Shastram Ajnatartha Jnapakam. All right, as you say, Shastra makes us know what is unknown so far. Tathavi, even then, Parasyanasi Savayatvam, where we are discussing whether Paramatma is Savayava, Niravayava, and what relation this discussion has, Sometimes people get so excited about what they are saying that they forget whether what they are saying is relevant or not, It's all right, that's okay, but then what relevance does it have? So people start talking about all kinds of things that they know. Sometimes when the politicians go and talk to even school children, they start talking about Assam and things like that, So that's once Lakshman, in his cartoon he gave this. That one political leader was addressing these school children and talking about Assam and Australia and things like that, Political situation with which children have no relation at all. But since there is something within you which you somehow want to say, then you just pour out regardless of who the listener is and whether it is relevant or not. This is what happens very often. That we just blurt out and pour out things which are not relevant to the situation. But anyway, you already said that here you are saying that the pramana makes us see what is unknown. Alright, but what relationship that discussion has with our point here that Paramatma is Niravayava, is partless and not with parts. So what relationship does this point has with what we are discussing? So says Kinchataha. Kinchataha. So what? Suppose Shastra is only Jnapakam, Dukarakam, so what? Says footnote number 4 again, Shastrasya Ajnata Jnapana Svabhavatvepi. Even if Shastra is of this nature, the Ajnata Jnapakatvam makes us see what is unknown, Parasya Niravayatva Kim Labdhami. He is repeating only what Anandagiri has said. So, what contribution does this point have with reference to establishing that the Paramatma is Niravayava Kinchataha? So what? Sometimes this is what happens. This fellow does not understand what you are driving at. Two things can happen. You are driving at an altogether irrelevant thing, then the question may be relevant. Or the fellow has not understood your purport, or not understood what you are driving at, and he is just wondering, what are you saying? So what? Then, says Anandagiri, Shastrasya Yathokta Svabhavatve Yat Parasya Niravayatvam Phaladi Taducchamanam Samahitena Shrotavyam. Shastrasya Yathokta Svabhavatve. The Shastra is this Svabhava, that it just reveals the nature of things as they are. Yet Parasya Niravayatvam Phaladi. How that nature of the Shastra ultimately amounts to saying that Paramatma is Niravayava or partless, how it works out that way, Taducchamanam Samahitana, that will require your attention, So to be able to connect this, how Shastra's nature, that it reveals what is the nature of things, how that means that Paramatma is Niravaya, what connection these two have, in order for you to understand Samahitena Shrotavyam. It would require your concentration. Therefore, says Shrunoiti. Ityaha, Shrunoiti. Says Bhashya, Shruno Ato Yad Bhavate. So Shruno, listen. Ataha, Kincha Ataha. So what? Ataha Yad Bhavati, Tashrunu. That Shastra has this kind of nature, and what it means, may you listen to it carefully. Says Anandagiri, Tatra Prathamam Loka Avirodhena Shastra Pravritim Darshayati. Tatra, footnote number 13, Shastrasya Yathokta Swavatve Sthite Sati. When Shastra is only engaged, or Shastra addresses itself in the revealing nature of things, when that is the thing, Prathamam Loka Avirodhena Shastra Pravritim Darshayati. The Shastra is engaged Shastra only acts, or functions rather. Shastra functions in a manner which is uncontradicting the experiences. Loka Avirodhena Shastra Pravritim Darshayati. The Shastra functions in a manner which does not contradict our own experiences and our own reasoning, our own nyaya, or what is commonly understood in our day-to-day life. Shastra only functions in keeping with that framework. Yathayati. So says Bhashya, यथा भूताः मूर्ता मूर्तादि पदार्थ धर्माः लोके प्रसिद्धाः तद्दृष्टान्तोपादानेन तद्विरोधी एव वस्त्वन्तरम् ज्ञापयितुम् प्रवृत्तं शास्त्रम् न लौकिक वस्तु विरोध ज्ञापनाय लौकिकमेव दृष्टान्तमुपादत्ते। यथा भूताः मूर्तामूर्तादिपार्थ धर्माः यथा वो यादृशाः मूर्त अमूर्त मीन्स स्थूल सूक्ष्मादि पदार्थ धर्माः. So yadrusha, whatever be the nature of the substances or objects, gross and subtle objects are there, whatever be the nature. So dharmaha loke prasiddhaha. So padartha eva dharmaha. Shastra padartha dharmaha means shastra padartha. So padartha, rather padartha dharmaha, padartha. So whatever be the nature of the things, gross and subtle and big and small, whatever be the nature of things as obtained in the world, loke prasiddhaha. So Shastra, when it gives an illustration, it gives an illustration accepting the accepted nature of the things. So whatever be the accepted nature of things, that there is day when the sun is there is night when the sun is not, and whatever. And so it rains when there is monsoon, and so it is cold when it is winter. So these are well-known things. So these well-known things alone are accepted for the drishtanta illustration, and not that Shastra gives an illustration accepting something which is contradicting our own experience. So, loke prasiddha tad drishtanta upadana. That's one word, drishtanta upadanena, meaning drishtanta upanyasena. So, yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vannihi. Wherever the smoke is, there the fire is. This is something well known, and this alone will be accepted as drishtanta. Understand that wherever drishtanta or illustration is given, illustration must be necessarily that where both the sadhya and the hetu are present. So the reason as well as what you want to prove is present. At the same time, drishtanta or illustration must be there, which is acceptable to both the parties. So when you give an example to somebody, that fellow should know what you are talking about, You cannot give an example of something that is happening in Timbuktu with this fellow never knows. That also can happen. And so you know something. You may be a particle physicist, let us say. And so you know a lot about particle phenomena that you give as an example, which other fellow does not know. Suppose they are talking to a 5-year-old child, and you talk about Vedanta or something, this fellow does not know. So you cannot give that as an example there. An illustration must be that which is known to both the parties. So the illustration to the child must be given so that the child also knows what we are talking about. And therefore, so this is very important. Tad drishtanta upadanena tat avirodheva vastvantaram jnapayatum pravuttam shastram. Vastvantaram. And so what is unknown is made known with the help of what is known. So what is unknown is taught always with the reference to what is known. That is all. And so this is what it is. So drishtanta is what is known. With the help of drishtanta, you or Shruti wants the people to understand something that they do not know so far. Tat avirodhyeva. Loka prasiddha padartha avirodhyeva vastvantaram jnapayitum pravuttam shastram. And Shastra wants to teach something that is uncontradicting to what is our common experience. The laukika vastu virodha jnapanaya laukikameva drishtana upadatte. It cannot be that you take an example to prove something that is contradictory to example. You say, just as there are sparks in the fire, similarly also Paramatma is, so this is niravaya. You cannot say that. So just as there is a pot made from the clay, similarly also Paramatma is without any modification. You are giving example of modification to say that Paramatma is without modification. You cannot say that. Suppose Paramatma is something that is not known to us, and Shruti wants to teach us something about God. Then Shruti can teach us something about God with a reference to what we know. So example will be given. Suppose an example, that's what Bhashyakara will say, That example is given that just as ornaments are made from gold, so also jivas are made of Paramatma. And want to say that Paramatma is Niravayava, then actually example means that the ornament is not made from gold, because ornament is nothing but the gold. So what we call ornament is mithya. This is how you have to understand the example. And not saying that the gold is separated or split into so many parts, and so Paramatma is split into so many parts, therefore Paramatma is Niravayava, So because the jivas are split from Paramatma, therefore Paramatma is Niravayava. How can you say? So this Swami is very fond of saying therefore theory, therefore, And so people feel that by saying therefore they have proven something. Therefore, but then you may have given reason that is totally contradictory, and then you say therefore this is so. By saying therefore, it doesn't mean that you have proven something. And so, by giving an example that is contradicting what you want to say, you cannot prove what you want to say, or you cannot make somebody understand what you want to say. So, tat avirodhe vastvantaram jnapayitum pravrutam shastram. So, Shastra actually functions by giving examples from our day-to-day experiences and wants to communicate something that does not contradict what we understood, and it wants to extend our understanding. In short, akashavat sarvagatascha nityah. Atma is sarvagata, all pervasive, like space. You cannot say that Atma is all pervasive, like earth, which is not all pervasive. So you cannot give example of something that is not pervasive and say that Paramatma is all pervasive. You cannot be akashavat nityagata, sarvagata. Like space is all pervasive. This is our experience. So space is presented in an example to enable us to understand what is all pervasiveness. And the all pervasiveness of Paramatma is not quite all pervasiveness of space, but first of all to give an idea of what is all pervasive, and that's how that Paramatma is all pervasive is being taught, and not that Paramatma, like this post, Paramatma is all pervasive. You cannot say post is in one place, is limited in space, that cannot serve as an example to teach all pervasiveness. Or like the fellow is running, Paramatma is changeless like him. You can't say that, because you see somebody is running and changing, and what is changing cannot serve as an illustration for that which is changeless. And so, an example of changeless is given like a sthanam. See this post, this fellow does not move, like that Paramatma does not move. That is okay. And so, that's what is said. Loke prasiddhaha yatha bhutaha padartha dharmaha. So whatever be the nature of thing that is determined in our day-to-day experience, tad drishtandopadanena, by accepting those day-to-day things as drishtanta illustration, tad avirodhe vastvantaram jnapayitum pravrutam shastram, and Shastra functions in revealing things that are not contradicting to the nature of things that we understand in our day-to-day experience. Na laukika vastu virodha jnapanaya laukikamayo drishtanam upadatte. So laukikam drishtanam, a day-to-day illustration is taken to teach something that contradicts that illustration. As I said, the illustration of the pillar is taken to say that Paramatma is running around, or the illustration of a deer is taken to say that Paramatma is motionless. You cannot, because you cannot give example of what is moving to teach that which is motionless. Adipadena, say Anagiri, bhava bhavadi grushyate. Bhava means existence, abhava means non-existence. So Paramatma is all existence, like the horn of the hare. You can't say that. So Paramatma is existence like the horn of the hare. But horn of the hare is a non-existent thing. You cannot cite that as an example to prove something that is existent. Or you cannot give example of something existent to prove something that is non-existent. Says Anandagiri, padarthesha bhoktu paratantrayat dharma shabda. Padartha dharma, padartha means dharma. Because padartha is bhoktu paratantrayat. Padarthas are all experienced by the Chetana, and therefore padarthas are always a paratantra, meaning they are always dependent, and dharma also is dependent. Therefore padartha itself is dharma, that is what is meant here. Tesham loka prasiddha padarthanam drishtantanam upanyasena iti yavata. And so this loka prasiddha padartha, or what is well known in the day-to-day life alone, is presented as illustration. Tat avirodhi. Loka prasiddha padartha avirodhi should be padartha virodhini, but padartha avirodhi ityartha. Then one akara should, so padartha virodhi. And so what is being taught must be something that should be in keeping with our day-to-day experience, what we have learned from our day-to-day experiences. Vastvantaram nirvayadi dashtantikam. So Shruti gives example of the spark splitting off the fire and still wants to say that the Paramatma is Niravayava. Then what is part of illustration applicable? That's what we have to see. If the part that we see physically the sparks splitting from the fire and then say that Paramatma is like that, and then wants to say that Paramatma is Niravayava, there is not the splitting that is meant there, it is something else about that illustration that is meant, and therefore, which part of the illustration is meant is what we have to understand. And not that part which contradicts. Every time this question arises. But Swamiji, you say the snake is, the rope is, there is the illusion of the rope on the snake, but the snake on the rope, but the rope is there. And here we are talking about the illusion of the Atma itself. The Atma is right here. How can these examples are not compatible? So illustrations cannot be totally compatible in every aspect. Only in certain aspects they are compatible. So that is the point that we make. Says Vipakshe doshamaha upadiyamanaha. Says Bhashyakara upadiyamanopi drishtantah anarthakasya darshtantika asangatehe. Suppose you take an illustration from the day-to-day life to illustrate something that is unconnected or irrelevant, then upadiyamano vidushtanta anarthakasyat. The drishtanta illustration which you have accepted for illustrating something will become meaningless. Darshtantika asangatehe, because what is darshtant or illustrated? It does not have sangati or relation with the what is illustration, and therefore this illustration will not serve the purpose. Asambandhat asangatehe, meaning asambandhat asamyat vaishamyat vibhavaha. There is vishamata or incompatibility between drishtanta and darshtanta. Therefore drishtanta will not serve the purpose. Samanyana uktamartham drishtanta vishesha nivishtaya spashtayati. Bhashyakara himself obliges us by giving an example. So nahi, says Bhashyakara. Nahi agnihi शीतः आदित्यो न तपति इति वा दृष्टान्तशतेनापि प्रतिपादयितुं शक्यम्. नहीं अग्निः शीतः. Suppose you say that fire is cold because it is substance like water. This is an example given. Fire is cold because fire is a substance like water. Water is cold and is substance. So fire is substance, therefore it is cold. Suppose you give an example. So logically this seems to be alright. At least all elements of logic are there, but this is hetu abhasa. And so suppose you want to prove that fire is cold by giving 100 examples, then also that cannot be proven. Adityo na tapati. The sun does not shine. Suppose you want to prove that. Drishtanta shatenapi na pratipadayitum shakyam. So drishtanta shatenapi, anumana shatenapi, any number of illustration, anumana or the inferences you may present, it cannot be proven. Agnehe ushnatvam adityasya tapakatvam anyatha iti uchyate. So Agni cannot be, just because you give an example, Agni will not cease to be hot and the sun will not cease to shine just because you prove by examples. Then says the last vakya, pramanantarena anyatha adhikatattvat vastunah. Pramanantarena, pratyakshadina pramanantarena, because vastu, like fire, is already determined to be hot by our practical experience, or sun is determined to be shining by our day-to-day experience, and therefore any number of anumana or any number of inferences cannot prove the nature of these things to be other than what is proven by well-known means of knowledge. And so, Shastra also will not seek to prove the nature of anything to be contradictory to the illustration. When Shastra gives illustrations, what is illustrated also must be in keeping with illustration. Okay, we'll continue. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Neva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. In the pots made from the clay, these examples are given. These illustrations seem to indicate that the creation of the jivas are modification of Lord or Brahman, that one has actually become many, and so it seems to give reality to our experience that jiva is in fact an amsha or a part of God. And that is what those statements of the Upanishad seem to very clearly state. And based on those statements, our conclusion is that the jiva is a part of Paramatma. And somehow you must explain how this amsha or a part can undergo the samsara without the whole, the Paramatma, undergoing samsara. Even though it doesn't make sense, as it was explained earlier, how can it be that a part undergoes samsara or suffers and the whole does not suffer? That cannot be. So whatever happens to the part has to happen to the whole, because part is not apart from the whole and whole is not apart from the part. So it is true that it doesn't make sense, but anyway, still. Mrulloha visfulinga dushtanda srutivasat parasya avayavaha jivaha siddhyantiti. For on the strength of the illustrations, it is established, or we can arrive at this conclusion that the jivas are the avayavas or the parts or the fractions of Paramatma. Atah jivanam praekadeshatve nokta dosha udarati. And therefore, all the logical faults that you find about Brahma being part, whole, and Jiva being part, all the logical faults that you find, we say that they are not acceptable to us. They cannot be there. Yukti apeksha shrutehe balavatvat. Because Shruti is a strong pramanam and the Yukti is only the pramana of a human being. And so Shruti is stronger than Yukti. What the Shruti of the Upanishad says is something that is beyond the reason, and therefore you cannot find fault in what the Upanishad says by a reason. So we say that we have to take literally what the Upanishad says. And so the question was asked, Agni Visfulingadi Drishtanta Shrutehe Na Dosha Hilched, that on the strength of the Shruti you have to say that this is not a fault. This is a very important point which is made again and again as to what is the Tatparya or purport of the Upanishad, and how the Upanishad seeks to teach that purport, the identity or the oneness or unity of the whole existence, through our experiences of all divisions and parts. Our experiences are within the realm of divisions and parts, and through that the Shruti wants to teach us that in fact the reality is partless or undivided, showing us thereby that even our experience also cannot be said to be of parts, etc. That when we really, that's what it amounts to. That when we really analyze our experience and when we find that everything is divided in part is all our conclusion rather than a truth. So in a very beautiful way, by giving the illustrations from our day-to-day life, Upanishad wants to teach us something that we have never conceived, but something that the human mind can see anyway. And this is what is sought to be taught. And this was so to derive to be able to see this drishtanta, which apparently seem to say that the jiva is a part of Paramatma, and still to really be able to tell us that no, these examples in fact don't tell us the relationship between whole and part. In fact, they are telling us the identity between jiva and Brahman. So these examples in fact reveal identity and not the relationship of whole and part or the cause and effect. This is what Bhashyakara is saying. And this is the Tatparya of the Vedantic teachers. So the answer is Na Shrutehi Jnapakatvat. The Shruti cannot teach us what is not the truth. Shruti being Pramanam, any Pramanam, if Pramanam can only reveal the nature of things and will not be able to change the nature of things. If the nature of things is that there is an inherent unity and harmony in the universe, Shruti cannot teach us otherwise, and therefore the examples also have to be understood accordingly. Na shastram padarthan anyatha kartam pravrittam. Shastra does not function, or Shastra does not address itself or function to change the nature of things. Kim tarhi yatha bhutanam ajñātānam jñāpane pravrittam. What does Shastra do? To enable us to see what is not, cannot be seen by us. Whatever can be seen by us through our senses or through our mind, the Shastra need not have to have activity there. But Shastra pravritti is in a realm which is beyond our own perception or comprehension. Independent comprehension. Alright, kinchataha, so what? What does this have to do with the current topic and discussion? We are saying that jivas, you are saying jivas are not part of Ishvara. So in what way does this particular thing that the Shruti only reveals the truth, so what relevance does it have with that? So, ato yad bhavati. So listen, how this Shruti's role of only revealing the truth and not making the truth, no Pramana makes the truth, Pramana only reveals the truth, how that amounts to showing the identity between Jiva and Ishvara, listen carefully. Yatha bhutaha murta murtadi padartha dharmaha loke prasiddhaha tad drishtanto padanena tad avirodhiya vastvandram jnapaitum pravrittam shastram. That whatever is established to be the nature of things in our day-to-day life, that very nature alone is cited as an example to teach us something that we have to learn. Tat avirodhiya vastvandram jnapaitum pravrittam shastram. And so Shastra actually is set about to teach us the nature of things that does not contradict our experience. So basing the teaching is always based on experience, and through our experience alone what is to be taught is taught. And not saying that what you see is wrong, that even though you see fire as hot, in fact it is cold, therefore Paramatma is such and such, That's not the way that the scripture approaches. The laukika vastu rodha jñāpanāya laukikam drishtanopadate. You cannot take a day-to-day illustration to show that what you see is wrong. That because you say you find that the fire is hot, therefore it is cold. This kind of argument or reasoning cannot be. Upadiyamano bhi drishtanta anarthaka syad dashtantika sangatehe. And suppose you take a drishtanta illustration from the day-to-day life and want to prove something that is contradictory to that, then the very purpose of taking illustration is not served. So purpose of taking the illustration is that illustration is understood by you, and based on that you learn something. But if the illustration itself is proved to be wrong, then naturally you cannot, that illustration cannot serve the purpose of revealing us something to us. Ni agnihi shitaha adityo natapadi diva drishtanta shatena vipratipadaitum shakyam. There were hundreds of illustrations also you cannot prove that fire is cold or the sun does not shine. So because you see the fire, you see the sun is shining, therefore it is dark, So that kind of illustration cannot be. Or you cannot say the Paramatma is dark because just as the sun shines, similarly Paramatma is dark in nature, So you cannot cite the illustration of shining sun to convey a nature of the truth or nature of something that is contrary to that. When you quote the example of sun that is shining, naturally what is illustrated also should be shining and not something that is dark. Or when you quote the example of fire that is hot, what is illustrated also should be hot and not cold. Pramanantena anyatha adhigatattvad vaspunah Because Vastu such as fire and sun, all of these are already determined to be such and such, to be hot and shining, and therefore, even if Shruti says that the fire is cold or the sun is dark, well, that Shruti cannot, we have to understand it differently, but you cannot take it literally because it contradicts our experience. In short, what the Upanishads or scriptures do is not to contradict our experiences, but is to explain our experiences, that's all. That's what Shastra does, to explain our experiences, because experiences we have, from which we have drawn a variety of conclusions. Experience is not a problem. The problem is the conclusions we have drawn from the experience. They are the problems. That's what torments the person. And that's where the Shruti has its activity. Shruti doesn't say that because I say there is truth, therefore there is truth. Truth is. Because I say that there is non-duality, therefore there is non-duality. No. Shruti says that even though the truth is non-dual, you think that it is dual, and how it is so, this is what Shruti has to teach us. And so, the pravritti of the Shruti is to explain our experiences and not change the experiences or not contradict our experiences, but explain our experiences. Now continuing with the page 497. So this is the very beautiful thing, that taking our day-to-day life and taking as basis what we experience, and on the basis of that to reveal the truth is what the Shruti does. It just takes our day-to-day life, not some exotic experiences, and then teaches the truth. What we are experiencing in our day-to-day life is the basis of teaching, because truth has to be everywhere, has to be in the day-to-day life also, has to be in what we call duality also, and therefore that becomes the basis for teaching. And this is how Bhashyakara explains this whole point, continuing with page 497. Says Anandagiri, No laukikam pramanam laukika padartha aviruddhameva swartham samarpayati vaidikam punah apaushayam tad viruddhamapi swartham pramapayed alaukika veshatvad. Also a very apparently valid argument. Nanu laukikam pramanam laukika padartha aviruddhameva swartham samarpayati. Laukikam pramanam. Pramanam, the means of knowledge. Laukikam pramanam, the means of knowledge available to us in our day-to-day life, like perception, inference, etc. Laukika padartha aviruddhameva swartham samarpayati. Swartham, its own meaning. So, a pramanam such as eyes, ears and whatever, perception, inference, are able to convey its own meaning without contradicting the padartha of the objects as they are in our experience in day-to-day life. So that is understandable. So, Purvapakshi says, what you say is quite alright with reference to Laukika Pramana, with reference to the perception, etc., with which we have. That eyes only reveal the color of an object without contradicting the nature of the object. And similarly, other sense organs also reveal the nature of things. So as they are in the Vyavahara. And that is how Swartham Samarpayati. Every pramanam or every means of knowledge is capable of communicating the meaning that is of an object that is revealed by that. So eyes are capable of communicating the nature of colors and forms and so forth. And so Laukika Padartha Aviruddhameva. So without contradicting the nature of things as they are, that they are revealing. Okay. Vaidikam punaha apaushayam tad viruddha viswatam pramapayed. But here we are talking about Vaidikam. We are talking about Vedas or Upanishads. Apaurushayam. So Upanishad Apaurushaya meaning it is beyond Purusha. It is not a creation of Purusha or human mind. At the same time, it reveals something that is beyond the human mind. Tad viruddha viswatam pramapayed. The Upanishad being an independent pramanam, and a pramanam or a means of knowledge that is beyond the scope of the human mind, therefore, why not that Upanishad can reveal something that contradicts our experience? Tad viruddhamapi, meaning what? Laukika viruddham. So that Upanishad can independently function in a manner as to reveal something that contradicts the nature of the things that we find in our day-to-day life. Alaukika vishayatva. Because the Vishaya of Upanishad Alaukika. Brahma is the Vishaya, Dharma is the Vishaya. And therefore, it can contradict our reasoning, it can contradict our experience, it may not be found reasonable, etc. Still we have to accept it because the Upanishad says that. Ataha, so when this kind of a doubt arises, that after all, Laukika Pramanas have their scope within the Laukika objects, but Upanishad being Alaukika Pramanam, meaning it's a means of knowledge to reveal something that is beyond perception, therefore it need not follow the laws of the Laukika or the Vyavaharika or the day-to-day life. The laws that it follows are its own, and it need not follow the laws that is followed by this local Pramanas. And therefore, you need not extend the kind of reasoning that is available, that you find in your day-to-day life to explain the Upanishad. Upanishad functions independently without having to satisfy or conform to the reasons that you have arrived at from your day-to-day life. So Upanishad need not have to conform to the reasons, it is independent. So it says this is night, then it is night. But you say that I see the light, then how can it be night? That's, so that is what the eye says, that it sees light. But Upanishad says it is night, so it is night because it has a capability that is beyond the perception and beyond the human mind. And therefore, you don't have to apply the criteria of your day-to-day life in order to justify or understand what the Upanishad says. So, saying this, if this question is there, then the answer is given by Bhashyakara, Nacha iti. Nacha pramanam pramanantarena viruddhyate. Nacha, so in the Iskaram Siddhi, all texts have to discuss this. Nacha pramanam pramanantarena viruddhyate. One pramanam, one means of knowledge cannot contradict what is revealed by another means of knowledge. Eyes cannot contradict what is revealed by ears, and ears cannot contradict what is revealed by the sense of touch and whatever. Nahi nacha pramanam pramanantarena viruddhyate. One means of knowledge cannot contradict what is revealed by another means of knowledge. How? Continuing. Pramanantara vishayameva hi pramanantaram jnapayate. Pramanantara avishayameva hi pramanantaram jnapayate. Pramanantaram, one means of knowledge, jnapayate, makes us see. Pramanantara avishayam. So one means of knowledge reveals something that is not within the scope of another means of knowledge. In short, every pramana or every means of knowledge has its own unique scope, and that alone is called pramanam. Pramanam is that, a means of knowledge is that, so means of knowledge reveals an object which is not available to be known by any other means of knowledge. Nanu shrutehe ajnata jnapakatve loka anapekshatvat tad virodhepi kakshanihi tatraha. Alright. So Upanishad reveals what is within the scope of Upanishad, and the eyes reveal what is within the scope of eyes, inference reveals what is within the scope of inference. So what inference says cannot be contradicted by perception, and what perception says cannot be contradicted by inference, and what Upanishad says cannot be contradicted by perception, because every pramana has a scope within its own realm, and therefore one doesn't have a scope where the other one has a scope. Everything has a very defined territory. Eyes have a defined territory of revealing colors and form, that's all. Ears or no other pramanam has scope within that, and so on and so forth. And thank God that it is so. Suppose there is something that is revealed by both eyes, as well as ears, there is definitely going to be contradiction, because when two independent means of source of knowledge, when they reveal something, there is likely to be a contradiction. Eyes may say, no, I see this as yellow, and the eyes may say, I see it as red or whatever, and so forth and so on. And there is no way that you can arrive at anything. And therefore, when I say that whatever this color is, it says, that's it. And then ears or the sense of touch has no scope to contradict the color. Eyes, you can say eyes also can be wrong. Eyes are not wrong. Eyes can have some defect, and therefore, what you see, it may be different from what it is. Imagining a nirdosh pramanam, meaning pramanam that is without dosha, without the defect, what it reveals cannot be contradicted by even Upanishad also. That's what Bhashyakara will say. So Upanishad also cannot say that this is rose if it is not rose, and that is how. Bandhanu Shrute Ajnata Jnapakatve Loka Anapekshvatvat. But Shruti, the Upanishad, reveals something that is unknown to us, and therefore why should Shruti have to depend upon Loka, meaning our day-to-day logic and day-to-day rules? Why should we insist that the Upanishad also should follow the rules of our day-to-day communication or day-to-day transaction? Loka Anapekshvatvat, it did not follow the rules of our day-to-day transaction. Tad virodho vi kahanahi, and therefore Upanishad reveals something that contradicts our day-to-day experience, kahanahi. So what's wrong with that? Nachaiti, says Bhashyakara. Nacha laukika padartha ashrayana vyatirekena agamena shakyam ajnatam vastvantaram avagamaitum. This is the point that is taken up by the ancient people, in fact, not only by Vedantins. This is one of the first points that is taken up by the Mimamsakas, by Jaimini, said Jaimini, that, and so this is what of course will be quoted from the Shravar Bhashya also, that the meaning of the word in the Vedas is the same as meaning of the word in our day-to-day life. Not the Vedas will use the word in a different meaning. And so, whatever the word part means in our day-to-day life is what the word part will mean, even if it is used in Vedas. And that's how every word will have the same meaning and not a different meaning. If they use word in a meaning different from what we understand, then we will not be able to understand that word anyway. That's what Bhashyakara nacha laukika padartha ashrana vyatekena agamena shakyam ajnadam vastvantaram avagamitam. The Divine Upanishad wants to teach us something that we do not know. It has to be taught with a reference to what we know. So we have, Upanishad also communicates with the help of words or language, and therefore the same rules of words and language must be used by Upanishad also, otherwise we will never be able to know in what meaning the word has been used by Upanishad. Suppose Upanishad has used the word in a meaning that is different from the way we understand, we will never know it. But when we said part, when we use the word part, what we meant was cloth, But how do we ever know? So that's what we do. Suppose Upanishad says, that's our way of functioning, that's all, That we say that it is day, that means it is dark, but how do we ever know? Well, somehow you have to know. That means that Upanishad or anybody will never be able to convey, And so Upanishad or no Pramanam can have its rules that are independent and that flouting all the rest of the, rules. So laukika padartha ashrayana vyatirekena. So without the ashraya, without taking its resort to the laukika padartha, meaning our day-to-day experiences, agamena shakyam ajnatam vastvantaram avaitum na shakyam. It is not possible for agama the Vedas also to vastvantaram. So Brahma, whatever, So whatever is to be taught cannot be taught without resorting to our day-to-day experiences, meaning the meaning of the words as we know from our day-to-day life, that alone has to be the basis. So what flower means flower, rose means rose, sun means sun, fire means fire, spark means spark, spider means spider. They use the word spider and we meant some other kind of a creature. Or the spider that we know, suppose Upanishad talks about a spider, that functions in a different way. And then tells us, we will never know it. So suppose Upanishad Apavashaya is able to see things that we don't see, alright, that is okay. But then suppose it tells us something that we never see and we can never see, we will never see it anyway. So suppose I went to Timbuktu and I saw something, which is something that is unknown to people in India, and I keep on talking about it in words that are also not known, suppose we talk in some other language, there is no way that people will understand because we have to only explain something in the known words, otherwise what is unknown can never be made known. So not only Shastra, anybody, any Pramana, so Shastra means anybody, whenever we use words, we have to use words in a meaning in which they are commonly understood and not in, that's why Swamiji would even say use always simple words, don't use very difficult words, Not only that you use words in the meaning in which they are currently used, but use words that are currently used, Not only, because otherwise you use all kinds of exotic words, which are there in dictionary, etc., which Shakespeare and other people may have used, but people are unaware of. Then also you cannot communicate. You may have the satisfaction of having said something that you want to say in a very flowery language, etc., but people just wonder what's happening. There's something very high. That's what they come out with this talk, after they then say, "Bahut unchi baat kahi." They said something very high. Except unchi means what? It goes beyond our head. That's all. And so we couldn't understand. So what's the purpose of communication if the listener cannot understand? So Shruti also would not want to say something that the people cannot understand, because the very purpose will not be served. So Laukika Padartha Ashrayana Vyatirekena Agamena api Vastvantaram Agamitum na Shakyam. So Anandagiri says, Loka Avagata Samarthya Shabdaha Vedevi Bodhaka iti Nyaya. This is Nyaya. Loka Avagata Samarthya Shabdaha. Shabda, the word, Loka Avagata Samarthya. Samarthya is Shakti. Every word or Shabda is a Shakti. Like pot has a Shakti. As the ability or the capability of revealing its meaning. Every word has the Shakti or the capability of revealing its meaning. And so, every word, so that is Laukika Avagata Samarthya. So whatever is determined to be the ability of a word to communicate is the ability also that is accepted in the Agama, the Vedas also. So Vedevi Bodhakaha Swartha Samarpak Samarthya iti. So the actual statement is this: Yeva Laukikaha Shabdaha Teva Vaidikaha Teva Chitesham Arthaha iti Lokaveda Adhikarana Siddhantoyam. This is Lokaveda Adhikaranam in the Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa. Lokaveda Adhikaranam. So whatever is the meaning of the words in Loka is also the meaning of the words in Vedas. So Yeva Laukikaha Shabdaha, whatever are the Laukika Shabda means the words used in the day-to-day life. Teva Vaidikaha, and they alone are the words that are used in the Vedas. Teva Tesham Arthaha. Two things. You must use the words that are current and known to people. At the same time, we should use the words in the meaning which is also known to the people. Both ways. Use words that are known to them and use words in the meaning also which is known to them. And suppose you want to use a word in a meaning that is somewhat different, you want to impart a different shade to the meaning of a word, then you must qualify that word. That can be done. As Swami would say, word can be loaded, so they load the word with a meaning. Because word has a capability of revealing things, and you can impart that capability by creating a context. So what the teacher or the speaker must do is to create a context so that a given word then has the ability to impart a meaning. But the context is created with reference to the listener. And so that the listener is ready to understand the meaning of the word in the sense in which it is communicated. Because what the listener should understand is what the speaker wants to say. Then alone the communication is complete. And otherwise there is no purpose in communication. So yes, Shruti can use a Laukika word in a sense that is somewhat different from what a Laukika person understands. But that sense will be conveyed in such a manner that this person will be able to understand by creating a context about that word. That's how the Lakshana Vritti comes, the Vachyartha and Lakshyartha. So Gangayam Ghosha, there is this little village on the Ganges. So we understand that it is on the bank of the Ganges, not on the Ganges, meaning on the stream that is the Ganges. And then, if necessary, the context must be created and then communicated. But then in Loka Avagata Samarthya Shabdaha Vede Vibodhakaha iti Nyayat, that in the Vedas also the word has the same meaning, that is the meaning in our day-to-day transaction. Tad anapeksha shrutehi na jnatam jnapayitum alam. Therefore, Shruti cannot disregard this and use the word in a meaning that is totally unknown and then also hope to communicate that it cannot do. Then says Anagiri, Shastrasya Loka Anusaritva Siddhe Phalitamaha. Shastrasya Loka Anusaritva Siddhe. When Shastra also does Anusaranam, also follows the practices, meaning the conventions rather, Shastra also follows the conventions that are established in our day-to-day life. Phalitamaha. So what it amounts to? Says tasmaditi. Alright, we have to read some of these footnotes apparently. Footnote number 1. Pramanantara avishayameva hi pramanantaram jnapayati. How one pramanam actually teaches us without contradicting another pramanam. Footnote number 1 says, Nanu tattvasyaadi vakyam adhyakshad viruddharthabodhi drishtamidhi ashankyaha. So how do you say that? Tattvasyaadi vakyam, that thou art this particular vakya, and other vakyas which reveal the identity between Jiva and Brahma. Adhyakshad viruddharthabodhi drishtam. Adhyaksha means pratyaksha. So, pratyakshadi viruddham. What is our perception? That Jiva is different from Brahma. That is our perception, that is our experience. And what does Mahavakya say? That you are Brahma. Is it not that the Mahavakya reveals something that contradicts our experience? Adhyakshadi viruddharthabodhi dushtam. So, the Upanishad does reveal something that is quite contrary to our experience. How do you say that one pramana does not contradict another pramana? What Upanishad says definitely contradicts our day-to-day experience. Therefore, Bhashyakara said, Pramanantar vishayam avishayam eva hi pramanantaram. Meaning that one pramana has a scope that is not within the scope of the other pramana, and therefore what the Upanishad says is not a matter of our experience, or whatever we have concluded from our experience is wrong. Even if you say that the experience is the same, our conclusions are wrong. Tathacha Vartika. This point is made in Vartika as to how one pramana does not contradict another pramana. Mananta viruddham cha na cha manam sadishyate manantarena samvyapte meyasyan manatayatah tatha padatadharthamscha linga pratyaksha gocharan nanadrutya gamenatham ajñātam vekti kaschana. Not kaschana. So first is tatra hetumaha. No, first is mananta viruddham cha na cha manam sat ishyate. Manam sat. If there is a pramanam, manam means pramanam. If what we call is pramanam, then mananta viruddham cha manam ishyate. That one pramanam should be not contradictory to other pramanam. That is what is desirable. Why is it so? So hetumaha, why do you say that one pramana does not contradict another pramanam? Tata hetumaha manantarena. Manantarena asamvyapte me syat manatayata. Yataha, because the manata syat. One pramana, one means of knowledge, has its pramanyam, has its scope. Manantarena asamvyapte me. In me means in an object, asamvyapte, that is not covered by manantara, by another pramana. Since one pramana, means of knowledge, has a scope with reference to an object that is not covered by other means of knowledge. Then say the Tika, Kalpita Dvaita Vishya Adhyakshadya Gochare Vastuni Vastuda Advaye Shastra Pramanyat Bhinna Vishayadaya Viroda Samadhi Muktva Virodeva Hetvantramaha Tathayadi. So that Vakya is explained well by this Tika. Kalpita Dvaita Vishaya Adhyakshadi Agochare Vastuni. In short, Adhyaksha, the perception, etc., have a scope within the realm of things that are in the realm of things which are in the realm of duality, whereas Upanishad has its scope in the truth that is non-dual. And so perception, etc., are all directed towards external world, which is the world of duality, whereas Upanishad is directed towards that which is Adhisthana, the substratum of the multifarious creation. So both are right. Perception also is right, and what Upanishad also says is right. Our experience that there is this multiplicity in the creation also is right. And what the Upanishad says that there is one non-dual truth, that also is right. For the simple reason that the perception is only confined to, has a scope only within the realm of the division and duality. It cannot penetrate the duality to see the non-dual. And therefore Brahman, the non-dual, can never be seen. When he said Purnamadaha Purnavidam, this is all Purnam, that Purnam cannot be seen. It's something to be understood. See, means it cannot be seen by the eyes. Non-duality is not something that can never be seen by the eyes. It is not that the wise man also sees the world as one, and everything is lumped together into one. No. Because non-duality is not within the realm of perception. And so Upanishad reveals that which is not within the realm of perception. So, agochare vastuni vastudha dve shastra pramanyat. And so, advaya vastuni. The vastu or the truth, that is advayam non-dual, that is where the shastra has a scope, and the perception, etc. has a scope within the realm of duality. Therefore, bhinna vishayataya. One has a scope within the realm of duality, other has a scope at the level of non-duality. Therefore, they are actually looking at different places. One fellow is looking there, the other fellow is looking there, Says, no, this fellow describes what he sees. This fellow says, no, you are wrong, This is the common stuff. So this chap looks here and describes something. Other fellow looking there. So, no, you are wrong. I don't see 3 trees, I see 5 and things like that, But naturally, there will be contradiction because you're looking in 2 different directions. And so also the perception is looking at only the world of duality. And says, no, everything is dual. Upanishad is looking at the realm of non-duality. And therefore, there appears to be a contradiction. It's not a contradiction. They don't contradict each other. They are talking about 2 different things. And therefore, there is no contradiction. Virodha samadhi muktva. And so this virodha, that the pratyek or perception seems to contradict what the Upanishad says, has been explained by saying that the perception has a scope within the realm of creation which is of the nature of duality, while the Upanishad reveals that which is beyond the scope of perception, and therefore there is no contradiction between them. Iti uktva, having said, tat avirodeva hetvantaramaha, how the perception and the Upanishad or the Shruti, they are not contradictory. For that, hetvantaram, another hetu is said, tathayati. So the second verse said, Tatha pada tadarthamscha linga pratyaksha gocharan na anadrutya agamena artham ajnanam vetti kaschana. Tatha similarly, pada tadarthamscha linga pratyaksha gocharan. Linga is perception, inference. Pratyaksha is perception. So by perception and inference, whatever be the meaning of the word pada tadarthamscha, so whatever we know about the words and the meanings from perception and inference, tat anadrutya, disregarding that, na agama ajñātam vetti kaschana. So agamena, no one will ever be able to know the meaning revealed by the scriptures. In the scriptures, disregard the meaning of the words as we have understood in our day-to-day life. So in short, as we discussed, scriptures also have to use the words in the same meaning in which we understand them. Tena na virodo manantarena shastrastyadi sheshaha. And therefore, tena, because of that, the Shastra also uses the words in the same meaning, therefore, na viroda manantarena. So that way, Upanishad does not contradict. In short, Upanishad also uses the words, same words, pada tadartha. Upanishad also uses the same words and the same meaning. That way it does not contradict. If Upanishad use words that were different from what we know, or they use the words that mean differently from what we understand, then you can say that they are contradicting perception. But Upanishad, see, too beautifully these hetus are given. One is that the scope is different, therefore they are not contradictory. Second is that Shruti uses the same words in the same meanings as they are used in our day-to-day life, therefore also they do not contradict our perception of day-to-day life. These 2 hetus are given. Very, very brilliant way of expressing or perceiving. Then footnote number 2, Tasmat. Okay, that we have to read now. So Shastrasya loka anusaritva siddhe phalitamaha, in as much as Shastra follows also the loka, therefore phalamaha tasmaditi. Tasmat prasiddhanyayam anusarata न शक्या परमात्मनः सावयांश अंशत्वकल्पना परमार्थतः प्रतिपादयितुम्. Tasmat, therefore, footnote number 2, therefore is already explained anyway. So tasmat prasiddha nyayam anusarata agamena, So agama that actually follows the prasiddha nyaya meaning, it follows only the well-known rules and the well-known conventions. Na shakya paramatmanah, although anybody who actually follows even the conventions that are well known to us, paramatmanah savayava amshamshitva kalpana paramatra na pratipadayitum shakya. So even following the rules of our day-to-day life, it is not possible for anyone to establish that Paramatma is savayava, that he is a composite entity consisting of parts, or amshamshitva, that jiva is an amsha of Paramatma, that cannot be established by anybody, following even the laukika nyaya, meaning the day-to-day convention. Meaning that when you take a statement from the Upanishad, no one can ever interpret the statement to mean that Paramatma is savayava or a composite entity, or the statement Upanishad means to communicate amshamshitva, that jiva is an amsha of Paramatma. That's what Upanishad says. No one will ever be able to understand, be able to explain those statements that way, because those statements use the words that are known to us, in a meaning that are known to us, following the same conventions of reasoning, etc. And when we follow the convention of reasoning, we will find that even the illustrations the Upanishads give of the spark, etc., also only reveal identity and not in fact the fractionality or the division. So that Bhashyakara will explain. Actually, the illustration of sparks emerging from fire seem to only tell us how the duality emerges from one. Bhashyakara says no. Even following the common nyaya, we find that example tells us that there is an identity between Jiva and Ishvara. Or saying that, to say that many parts are emerged from the clay, and so many are emerging from one, he says no, that example does not tell us many emerging from one, it is one alone appearing as many. That's what the example says. It is not many emerging from one appearing as many. Meaning manyness is an appearance, even here. Then they will say, tell us, what is the part? In what way is part different from clay? Where is part? Is part a real object? Then they say, Vacharamam Vikaranam Mritika Etyeva Satyam. That what we call Vikara, mutation or product is in your mind, is not there. You think that there is a part, in fact all there is this clay, that's all they will show us, even in our Laukika Jnana. So even in our day-to-day convention will be shown how what we call part is nothing but clay. Where is part? This is part. That is an emotional problem, And so where is part? So this, it has a beautiful shape and beautiful color and stuff like that. All right, but where is it? Remove the clay from that. Where is that shape? Where is that form? And where is it? Nothing remains, and therefore, so this is purely, becomes an emotional problem. Emotional maturity is to be able to grow out of that. That just because it looks colorful and beautiful doesn't mean it is real, or that it is an independent reality. So that's how the Vedantic teachers will take just the common day-to-day experiences and shows the mithyatvam of what we call the product. That's how Chandogya Upanishad also teaches, Vacharamham Vikaranam Mritika Etyeva Satyam. This mutation of product is Vacharamham, merely hanging on speech. The object part has no reality more than name part. What will be the reality of noun, name, part? That is the reality that the object has. And then noun you have given. That's why that kind of a thing came. If you did not give that name, even that much reality it did not have. That's all. And what is there really is nothing but clay. Anyway, in Saraswatiji, Bhashyakara says here that no one can actually savayava amsham shitva kalpana, that Paramatma is savayava, or that jiva is amsha of Paramatma, that even the examples quoted by the Shruti will not be interpreted in this manner. Alright, so says Anandagiri, Nahi Nityas Prasiddho Nyaya Laukika Dushtanda Prasiddha Nyayam Anusarata. So Laukika Dushtanda Anusarata, following the Laukika Dushtanda, that's what Shruti does and that's what the teachers also do. Nahi Nityasya Akashadehe Savayavatvam Parasya Nitya Abhivagataha Tat Tasmasmat Na Tasya Savayatvena Amsham Shitva Kalpana Vasudha Sambhavati Lok Virodhadityartha hai. For example, Upanishad says, Akashavat Nit Sarvagatascha. Akashavat Sarvagataha Nitya. This is what Atma is. Sarvagata, all pervasive, Nitya. That means it is indestructible or uncreated. Nitya means beyond time, Akashavat, like space. So the Naiyayikas, and generally speaking, space is understood to be naturally all pervasive, formless, uncreated, because everything is created from space. So accepting that Laukika Nyaya, based on that, the Upanishad says, Akashavat Sarvagatasya Nitya. Atma is Sarvagata, all pervasive, Nitya, imperishable, or uncreated, or transcendental, like the space. So Nahi Nityasya Akashadehe Savayatvam. Akasha is Nitya, according to Naiyayikas. Therefore it is partless. What is Nitya or uncreated cannot be composite. What is created will be composed, created from different components. But uncreated cannot have any components. Anything that is aggregate, made of a variety of components, must be created, by the way. Another rule is, whenever you find an assembly of things, whenever you find anything that is a combination of more than one, then it must be created. Somebody must have put those two things together. So whenever you find a composite entity, composed of more than one ingredient or more than one component, it must be put together. And so anything that is created must be composite. And what is not composite cannot be created also. And so, nahi nityasya akashadehe savayatva. Akasha is nityam, indestructible, therefore uncreated. Since uncreated, it cannot be composite, it is partless. So anything that is nitya must also be what? Partless. Like akasha. So this is nyaya. So whatever is nitya, that is what? Is also nirvayavam. So whatever is nityam is nirvayavam. Akasha, like space. Parasya nitya bhivagataha, and Paramatma also is nitya. Therefore he also must be nirvayava. And then akasha or space is cited as an example. Tat means tasmad, therefore, na tasya savayavatvena amsham shitva kalpana. Bhashyakara is savayava amsham shitva kalpana, meaning savayavatvena amsham shitva kalpana. Since Paramatma is accepted as nitya, eternal, therefore it cannot be composite. It has to be partless. If it is partless, it cannot be divided. That means it is undivided. It is indivisible. Therefore it cannot have amsha or the parts or the fractions, and therefore Paramatma cannot be divided. Even though you experience that I am a fraction of Paramatma, that is looking at you, but look at Paramatma. If he is Paramatma, he cannot be divided. He must be indivisible. And he must be indestructible. What can be divided also can be destroyed. Paramatma is nitya, indestructible, therefore undivided. And therefore, if Paramatma is undivided and indivisible, then your conclusion of division requires to be examined rather than imagining that Paramatma is split into parts. So, imagining what Paramatma is based on your conclusions, it is rather that you yourself examine your conclusion based on what Paramatma is. This is simple way of learning, that's all. So what Shruti says is this, and therefore you better analyze your own conclusion, because that's what the Pramana says, rather than interpreting Pramana based on your own conclusion. Otherwise we will never grow. We will never grow unless we will never learn. If we stick to what, our conclusions are, there will be no learning at all. What is learning is all the time analyzing our conclusions. Whenever we find that they need to be changed or corrected, doing that is called freedom. And so that is how one grows. Anyway, tasmat na tasya savayavatvena amsham shitva kalpana vastudah sambhavati. Therefore, Paramatma being nitya, it is our experience that space is nitya, is nirvayava. Paramatma also is nitya, therefore he must also be nirvayava. And therefore, loka virodhat, to imagine that Paramatma is savayava would in fact contradict our own experience also. Ityarthaha. Okay. Then continuing, says Anandagiri, Jivasya param shatva anangikare shruti smrityoho gatihi vaktavya. Jivasya param shatva anangikare. All right. If you say that Jiva is not amsha of the Paramatma, then shruti smrityoho gatihi vaktavya. Then all these shrutis and the smriti statements which seem to reveal the fractionality of Paramatma, how are you going to explain them? So footnote number 11. Gatihi Visha, Shruti Smrityo. Bhashyakara himself quotes anyway. So there are Shrutis like what we are discussing here. Why all this long discussion came? All this is prasangika pravasana anyway. Because the Shruti seems to say, Shruti gives an example which seems to establish that Jiva is Amsha of Paramatma, because gives the example of Agni Vispulinga. That's why all this long discussion came, Sometimes you don't know why Bhashyakara goes on this track, but then the track is a Shruti. And so his focus is only on the Shruti. But these questions can arise, these conclusions can arise from what the Shruti says, therefore this long discussion here. So, Gatihi meaning the meaning. Gati Vishaya. What is the meaning of this Shruti and the Smriti? Statements which appear to communicate the fractionality, that Vaktavya. This is what you have to tell us. It is Shankare Kshudraha. Says Bhashya, Kshudraha Vispulingaha Mamayvamshaha Iti cha Shruyate Smaryate Chaide iti ched. Kshudraha Vispulingaha. This very Kandika that we are discussing. Yatha Agnehe Kshudraha Vispulingaha Vicharande. How from the fire all the tiny sparks they split out or they emerge. So that Mamayvamso Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. So that's a verse in fact that is quoted by the Dvaitins always. So that's being taken up here. Mamayvamso Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. Lord Krishna says, this Jiva is my Amsha, is my fraction, so my little part, this is Jiva. If you Shruyate Smaryatecha, this is what the Shruti says. Shruti also seems to say that Jiva is a fraction or a fraction of Paramatma. Then how do you explain these statements? So, if you think that these statements are trying to communicate the relationship between Paramatma and Jiva as Amsha and Amshi, then it is not so. So, Tayoho Gatimaha, that Gati meaning, their meaning is being explained Bhashyakara Naiti. Says Bhashya, Na Ekatva Pratyartha Paratvat Agnerhi Vispulingaha Agnihi Eva Iti Ekatva Pratyartha Drushto Loke. He says, no, that's not right. Egatva Pratyartha Paratvat. This Drishtanta, according to us, in fact reveal not the fraction or whatever, Amshamsi. In fact, to us it only reveals the identity. See, it's amazing. It's amazing, Bhashyakara says that this example of the fire and the sparks reveals not that the sparks are fractions of fire, because sparks are never fractions of fire. Who says spark is a fraction of fire? We say spark is fire. Ekatva Pratyartha Paratvat. Because all the illustrations of their Paratvam, Tatvaryam, all of them are only committed or devoted to revealing Ekatva or the non-duality. Agnehehi Vispulingaha Agnihi Eva. The spark of the fire is indeed fire. This is what is well known. Bhashyakara says this is well known. This is a well known thing is that the spark is a fraction of fire. But Bhashyakara says in fact spark is nothing but fire. He is what Prasiddhi. Iti Ekatva Pratyartha Drushto Loke. And therefore, that is, in fact we find that there is fire, oneness only between spark and fire, and therefore the illustration also tells us oneness of identity between Jiva and Ishvara. That is footnote number 7. Then there is footnote number 3 there. Again, we didn't read that. Na shakya iti tasacha vartike. So, tasmat prasiddha nyayam anusarata. Loka prasiddha nyayartha hi amshamshittvadi kalpana paramatmah kalpayitum nato yukta kathanchana iti. Loka prasiddha nyayartha hi amshamshittvadi kalpana. By the nyaya meaning the illustration that are obtained in our day-to-day life. In short, as far as Bhashyakara is concerned, day-to-day life only reveals identity between Jiva and Ishvara. Nothing seems to reveal to him the separation, So wherever he looks, he only finds everything revealing only oneness, and nothing to him reveals this separation. It's amazing. So that's what he's saying here. Loka prasiddha nyayarthahi. And nyaya is drishtanta. All the drishtanta that are prasiddha or well known in our day-to-day life. Amshamshittvadi kalpana paramatmana kalpayitum na ataha yukta kathanchana. It is not possible that even citing the day-to-day illustrations that we can never arrive at the conclusion that the Jiva is Amsha of Paramatma. Says the Tika there. Is Loka Prasiddha Nyaya Vispulingadaya Drishtantaha. Loka Prasiddha Nyaya means the Drishtanta illustrations, the well-known illustrations such as the fire and the spark. Taihi Artaihi Agnyadivat parasya amshitvad kalpana na svikartum yukta. And therefore it is not possible for us to arrive at the conclusion that this illustration is cited to in fact communicate the relationship of the whole and the part. Tan nishphalatvat advaitvad shastra virodhat. We say that this example cannot be cited to communicate the duality between Jiva and Ishvara because nishphalatva. What new is it known? That I am different from Ishvara, that does not tell us something new. It's something that is well known. Then you have to go through the story of Murari and stuff like that, the long story. As to everybody knows. Even a Murari Bhargava also knows that I am not Narayana, I am not Ishvara. And if that is what you have to learn after 12 years of, 12 years of Shastra, that I am different from Ishvara and Ishvara is different from me, then Shastra has not taught us something that is unknown to us. It seems to only confirm all the miseries that we have. That means separation can never be eliminated. That means that I will always be separate from God. That means I will always be a spark. I will always be an incomplete being, always be an insignificant fellow, and therefore the misery that I have is all justifiable. That means I am doomed to be miserable or whatever it is, And so, that what does Shastra do? It does not actually tell us something that is not known to us. Nishphalatva advaitva shastra virodhadan shastra. Advaitva shastra is there. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, all of the Shastra very clearly says, reveals the identity between Jiva and Ishvara. So, that all this example will contradict that also. Shruti cannot cite an example to contradict what it is said in some other place. Ataha drishtanta shrutehe na viruddha sabodhita. Therefore we say that the drishtanta shruti, the shruti where the drishtanta are given, that cannot have the purpose of contradicting the non-duality, because number one, it does not serve the purpose, and number two, a pramana cannot contradict itself. Right now my eye says that this is orange color, and at some other time it says it is yellow color, and then it says pink color, and then suppose every 2 minutes I say something else, that means it is not pramana. So what contradicts itself cannot be pramana. And pramana, means of knowledge, cannot contradict itself. It cannot contradict what the means of knowledge says, nor can it contradict itself, because you will never trust it. So is this yellow? After 5 minutes it says red. After 3 minutes it says blue. Then you will never know what it is. And then Shruti here says that you are Brahman. Then it says you are fraction of Brahman. Then it says you are a part of the body of Brahman. Suppose it says different things in different places, then what am I? So we can never arrive at any kind of an ascertained knowledge. So there must be ekavakyata. The basic principle is, if Upanishad is pramanam, if you accept it as pramanam, there must be ekavakyata. It must be consistent. It cannot be inconsistent. So that is the purpose of Brahma Sutra. The first chapter is to show consistency of Upanishad. Otherwise you won't really accept it as pramanam. If Vedas say something in one place and something else in another place, so Purva Mimamsaka has established entire Veda is pramanam. Painstakingly they took every statement of the Vedas and categorized it very systematically to show that entire Veda consistently says one thing only. Meaning that it doesn't contradict anywhere. And then the Uttar Mimamsa, or the Vedantins show how Upanishads consistently say one thing alone. Otherwise it is not Pramanam. Pramanam must have consistency. Upanishad also, that is called Samanvaya. Tattu Samanvayat. There is Samanvaya or Ekavakyata or consistency in all the statements. Every statement. Not even one chakara should be an exception. Every statement must be consistent. Anyway, so that is how na virod drishtanta shrutehe na viruddha sabodhita. Therefore, even drishtanta shruti also cannot seek to teach something that is contradictory to the purport of the shruti. And footnote number 4. Savayatven amsham shitra kalpana. That's done already. Footnote number 7. Number 5. Where are we? Shastrena. Ekatva nischaya rupaya se. 6. Ekatva pratyartha paratvat. Footnote number 6 explain that Ekatva nischaya rupaya se shruti smrityoho tatparyavatvat. So Ekatva nischaya rupaya se shruti smrityoho tatparyavatvat. Shruti and the Smriti, all of them have the tatparya, meaning all of them have a commitment, purport in only revealing Ekatvam or the non-duality. Aikatmya pratipatyarthvad ityavata, meaning that all of them in fact seek that we should know the Ekatmyam or the oneness. So that alone is, that apurvata is there alone. Apurvata means something new. That yeah, that's right. So otherwise what's the point? It says, yeah, okay, I'm miserable. That's what it says, you are miserable. But I feel I'm miserable, and says you are not miserable. Ashochananda Sudas, then it's called pramana. Then it is thrilling also, and exciting also that I'm going to know something else. Something that is, beyond my comprehension, or something that, I have never thought of. So that is where the Shastra pravritti is. Now Anandagiri says, Visfulinge darshitam nyayam sarvatram shamata atidishati. Visfulinge darshitam nyayam. Already agnehe hi visfulinga agnihi eva, by the way. The spark of the fire is fire alone. Why is it so naturally? Because what is a spark? What do you call spark? Only that which has heat and light. Otherwise you won't call a tiny thing, not every tiny thing is spark. Only that which shines and it burns is spark. So that which shines and burns is called spark. And what is fire? That which shines and burns. A given shape is not fire, but that which shines and burns is called fire. And spark also shines and burns, so spark also is fire. No, but it is small. The smallness is not in this fireness. Smallness is only in the upadhi, in little piece of carbon. The smallness is in a different place. Smallness belonging to the carbon is superimposed upon the fire, and then you say that the fire is spark is small. The spark is small, all that. What is small? The carbon piece is small and not fire. So divisions in carbon are not divisions in fire. Fire is not divided by the carbon. And therefore what we call spark is nothing but fire. See, when your drashti is clear, you can see it through and through. Every example will show you this. When you have concluded that that is Diwali, that's what your mind will show. Whatever you have concluded, that is what your mind will see. The conclusion here is that the Shruti wants to reveal the oneness, that for everything will only be. So wherever Shankaracharya sees, he sees only the play of oneness everywhere. Wherever Acharya sees, they see duality everywhere. That's all. That's what the Gaudapada Acharya says. Whatever your teacher teaches, that becomes true for you. It becomes truth, actually truth, because the disciple has a tremendous shraddha, faith and devotion for the teacher and identification with the teacher. Disciple is not separate from teacher, so identified. So whatever the teacher says is what the disciples, whatever he sees is what the disciple sees. Therefore, whatever is the vision of the teacher becomes the vision of the disciple also. It becomes reality for him. It is real. And God will appear to him that way. That's what Gaudapada Acharya says. That is how the reality will appear to him. If that's how you want God to be perceived, God will oblige you and you will perceive that way. Because He is everything. The duality also is there, the Vishishta Advaita also is there, and this is also there. Whatever you choose is what you see. So it's up to us what to choose. Visfulinge darshitam nyayam sarvatram shamatre atidishati. And the nyaya means the rule that Bhashyakara showed as to how the spark is burning with fire. He is now extended to show that the same rule is there in every example, which apparently seems to indicate the part and the whole. In fact, every example which appears to indicate part and whole only is meant for revealing actually the identity. So, tathacha, Bhashyakara says, tathacha amshaha amshina ekatva pratyarha. That's all. Tathacha amshaha. We don't accept an amsha. The amsha means what? A part or a fraction. Amshina ekatva pratyaharha. Every fraction reveals in fact an identity with every part is nothing but identical to the whole. Because a part contains that amsha is there, in the part also there is something that separates it from the whole, but in every part also there is something that makes it one with the whole also. Every particle of gold is a particle alright, at the same time every particle has goldness, which is the same in every lump of gold, and therefore, in fact, to us, every part also shows only oneness with the whole. And therefore, tathacha amshaha. Tathacha means tathaiva, in a manner similar to that. Amshaha, amshina, ekatva pratyarha, aveda nishya vishaya, that every amsha of the part only reveals oneness with the whole. Drishtante yathokta nitya sire dashtantikamaha. If this is how the drishtanta is, if the Visfulinga etc. and every drishtanta of Mrut and Loha and whatever, if all drishtantas only are revealing the identity, then dashtantikamaha, then what is illustrated by the Drishtanta, namely Paramatma, is what that is being said by Bhashya Tatra, page 498. Tatra evam sati vijnanatmanah paramatma vikaram satvavachaka shabdaha paramatma ekatva pratyayadhitsavah. Tatra evam sati. That is, when even the examples or illustrations of the spark and fire and such illustrations, in fact, only reveal the oneness. The spark is nothing but fire, that pot is nothing but clay, that a particle is nothing but the whole, that a particle is particle. But then that's what the scientists also tell us, that every atom contains a whole universe within itself. It's already understood that every universe also contains every atom contains a whole universe within itself in a general way. So there is samanyamsha is there. So every cow has a cowness, whether it's a big cow or a small cow, and therefore the universality is there in everything. And therefore, as far as that universal aspect is concerned, a part is not separate from the whole, part is the whole, because whole is also universal, and part also is universal. Tatra evam sati, and therefore, inasmuch as the examples only seek to reveal the identity, vijnanatmanah paramatma vikara amsham shitvachakaha shabdaha. All the shabda, the various words, amshitvachakaha. So various words that seem to vachakaha. Vachaka means what? That seem to literally seem to indicate vijnanatmana paramatma vikara. That illustrations such as the pot and the clay, which seem to indicate that the pot is a vikara or the mutation of the clay, and therefore by citing that example, that it seems to be conveying that the jiva is a vikara, or actually modification of God. Or amshitva, or the example of spark and the fire, where the spark is thought to be an amsha of the fire, and by that example someone may understand that the Shruti wants to communicate that the jiva is amsha of the Ishvara. This shabdaha paramatma ekatva pratyadhitsavaha. Pratyam adhatum ichchavaha ichchanti. So that all these actual examples only tell us the oneness between Paramatma and Jivatma. Ekatma pratipatyathaha iti avata. So the purpose is to reveal only Ekatma or the identity. That's what Anandagiri says. Paramatmana saha jivasya ek vishayam pratyam adhatum icchanti iti tathoktaha. Paramatmana saha jivasya ek vishayatvam pratyam. They want to actually create in the listener or in the student a pratyaya or the conviction that the jiva is none other than Paramatma. So pratyam is nischayam, nischaya or the ascertainment they want to create. Adhayatum ichchati, that's what the Shruti wants. Shruti wants to create this nischaya or the ascertained knowledge in the mind of the student that he is none other than Brahma, and that's what the Shruti wants to do. So these examples, how the discussion came, that what part of the example you should take. Bhashyakara said that even when the Shruti gives an example, it follows the rules that are followed in our day-to-day convention. Therefore, even when Shruti gives the example of spark and the fire, what part of the example you should take? An example illustration can never be applicable in its entirety. An example is always applicable in parts and not in its entirety, and therefore the example of spark and the fire also is applicable in as much as the spark is nothing but fire. In that aspect it is applicable. The Dvaitins will take the example to mean that it is applicable in the other aspect, that the spark is amsha of the fire. The Vedantins, the Dvaitins, will take the example to mean that it only shows the oneness between the spark and fire. In that aspect alone the illustration is taken, and not in every aspect. So whenever a Drishtanta illustration is given, we must know that only one part of the illustration is applicable, or a major part is applicable, but not in its entirety. Otherwise it's not an illustration. Illustration cannot be in its entirety, only in its part it can communicate. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva दृश्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करम् शङ्कराचार्यम् केशवम् बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। Jiva and Brahma. Then, how do you explain various statements or passages of the Shruti which appear to be indicating that the Jiva is a fraction of Paramatma? For example, the statement that is right here in this mantra that Jiva is Suyata Agnehi Kshudraha Vishwalingaha Vicharanti Evameva Smaratmaha Sarve Prana Sarve Lokaha Vicharanti. Just as from the fire many little sparks split out or emerge, and so also all these worlds and the pranas and all of the devatas, all of these emerge from this Atma. Here this emergence process of the world from the Atma is compared to that of the sparks from the fire. And so it seems to indicate that just as the sparks are a fraction of the fire, so also this world is a fraction. What is jivas? The jivas are the fraction of the Paramatma. Different examples are given actually. First is the vikara. The mrut loha vishwalingadyehi. The examples of mrut and loha. So clay and the gold. So clay parts and gold ornaments. They are vikara or modification of the clay or the gold. So one example is one of vikara. So generally it is understood that, or some people understand, that these examples mean that the world is vikara, the creation is modification of Brahman. And the other examples are that of fraction, like the sparks emerging from fire. So that is interpreted to mean that the jivas are fractions of Paramatma. So this is how the examples are understood. So how do you understand the example? If you say that there is Brahman alone, that there is no vikara of Brahman,